Today on Broadscast, Craig Shoemaker.
Dr.
Craig Shoemaker. The Lovemaster, Datitude. It's all very, very exciting.
Broad topics, broad minds, broad hosts, but not just for broads. This is Broadscast with Kim Goldman and Jackie McDougall.
Today's Broadscast is brought to you by Audible.com. Kim's looking at me like, who is it?
I wasn't sure if we were breaking into song or what.
So you can get a free book and free, I'm going to turn me down because all I can do is hear myself. Free book and free audio trial at audibletrial.com/broadcast. 180,000 titles, Kim, including your book, including most of the people that we have had on our show.
Woo!
So tell Craig Shoemaker, does he have a book? Because maybe it's on Audible.
He does have a book, Lovemaster.
So we'll have to ask him about that if it's on there. But head over there, audibletrial.com/broadcast, and go get yourself a book. One that you don't have to read, one that you could just listen to.
We're such a lazy country.
I'm telling you.
We use hoverboards to travel because God forbid we walk. We listen to audiobooks because God forbid we read.
We also live in Los Angeles, at least, and whenever I
because the hoverboards really come in handy in Los Angeles.
But whenever I take a project on, it's like the commute is, forever away. It takes hours. And so I like to listen to books. And
I shouldn't condemn it. I have a handful
that
I'm narrating a new one, so I probably shouldn't be condemning
You
audiobooks. But
should be pushing it.
No, it's weird. I'm old school. I like to touch the page. I like to smell
buy the
book,
but then I use it as a coaster on my nightstand. Sweet. So it looks like I look really smart. It's kind of like why I have NPR on my radio. So like when you flip through, you're like, oh, NPR. But I can't tell you how often I stop at it.
Right. I actually listened to C-SPAN the other night. Did you watch? There
was
a filibuster.
Okay. That was
so here's the thing. So I actually know what a filibuster is because of Scandal.
Totally.
Right? Like
Melly
I'm
Grant.
Sure I learned that in my life.
Melly Grant.
Yeah, but I tuned into the filibuster because the Democrats were 14 or 15 hours into trying to get the other side of the aisle to talk to them about gun control and.
Right.
So the dude was up there, Senator Murphy from Connecticut.
The dude.
He could not pee.
His other name.
He couldn't pee for 14 hours. How do you do that?
I don't know.
It was intense.
Clearly, he didn't have water
Anyway,
with him.
so I watched C-SPAN. I didn't even know it. What?
Did you hear Meatloaf fell off the stage or dehydration or something? That guy, you filibuster, you're going to end up like Meatloaf.
Oh.
Meatloaf the singer, took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah. Anyway, I just thought that was impressive. And I don't even remember the last time I watched C-SPAN.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever.
It was actually really interesting.
Yeah,
yeah.
Maybe
and
we
then
should
it was
do that more.
And then it was on the television when my son came down in the morning. He's like, "Oh my God, Mom, they're still going."
Seriously,
but they weren't. Oh. But I just didn't change the channel, and because it makes me feel smart.
Yeah, well, especially like C-SPAN when you can't find the remote. You're like, oh, I guess it's C-SPAN.
Well, there's C-SPAN 1 and 2, quite frankly, and so I had to move on over to C-SPAN 2 to watch the filibuster. But anyway, that was interesting.
Really?
That was cool. I've never watched that before.
It's like Law and Order. Like you can't just have one. You got to just have all different CSIs.
Right.
Like just the success of C-SPAN was so huge they needed a C-SPAN 2. So anyway, so today on the show, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, Craig Shoemaker, doctor.
He has
really
a PhD in humanities. What the?
Yeah. What is a PhD in humanities?
I don't know. We're going to ask Craig.
That's crazy.
And he's an ordained minister, just PS. So.
Oh, really? So he's my little brother. So if you get married, you can.
Well, Craig, I don't know if he'll remember, but Craig is determined to set me up. He's taking me under his wing. No, he's married. He's a remarried man. But anyway, I'm his pet project.
Really?
So we'll have to ask him about that.
Oh, he and I have a lot in common then. Mm-hmm. So you can subscribe to our show if you're not listening live on one of the radio stations around the country or live streaming on broadscast.com. You can always subscribe to us on iTunes, and maybe you already have. Thanks. We also have some video coming up soon, so you can subscribe. Kim is like climbing under the table as we speak.
I have to brush my hair then.
So go to YouTube and subscribe to us there, and that way you can see us. And I got to tell you, I'm not going to get all dolled up every time. Like our show is a radio show. If you see video of it, I know, but if you see video of it, don't have expectations. I'm not wearing a prom gown.
You're going to put a bra on though?
Well, I've had a mastectomy with reconstruction. I don't need one.
You still have boobs?
I know, but they're perky. Actually, yeah, whatever. That was a little too much information for the morning. So make sure you do that. So let's talk about, before we get into some trending topics and such, Craig, being a comedian, you have you have a thing for comedy and comedians. I know that. But what do you have coming up for your youth project this summer? Can you please tell everybody about the event that you're throwing in 2 months?
Yeah. We're doing our 5th annual Comics for the Cause, which is actually how I met Craig. He was one of our comedians last year, but we do a big event at the Performing Arts Center in Valencia, which is a suburb of Los Angeles. And we bring together high-profile comics, and they just sit together and make us laugh for an hour and a half.
It's been amazing, like year after year. I mean, you've had Jay Leno, you've had Howie Mandel, you've had
Billy Gardell from Mike and Molly. Yeah, no, and Craig, I mean, we've had a stellar lineup. It just, the pressure is on. The bar keeps getting raised for me to. So
what do you want? So
this
we
keeps
can send people out.
Well, I have some asks out, so I don't want to. I have to secret it in a different way than putting it out into the broadcast world. But
just for those who don't know us that well, that like every time we talk about the law of attraction or whatever, Kim likes to
laugh
mockingly say, "I'm going to secret it."
Secreted it, yeah. But yeah, I mean, but that's one of the concepts of the comedy show is that it's different, but also that with all of the yuck that goes on in our world, it's nice to sometimes be able to just take a moment and laugh, which I know Craig supports with. He has a whole laughter heals concept, and it's important that we take a moment just to breathe and to just not always let all the crappy stuff in. I mean,
well, that happened last week, like with Orlando and the Tony Awards. Yeah, that in the past, like with September 11th and other horrible events, sometimes shows have been postponed or canceled, or and the Tonys went on as planned, and people really appreciated it. I'm not a theater person. I'm just telling you right now. Like I want to be that like theater person, but I just
no.
I paid ridiculous amounts of money for Book of Mormon, which was fun.
Yeah.
And I saw producers on Broadway, like with, Matthew Broderick and Nathan Lane. But I'm not.
I saw Rocky on Broadway. In New York. I went
like
and
the
saw
movie
Rocky
at the
live.
movie theater?
Yeah, I took my son to see Rocky. It was actually pretty good.
I didn't even know Rocky had a live show.
It didn't last very long. But it was actually quite entertaining. That's the extent of my Broadway. That and Spider-Man. Spider-Man.
Oh, I want to take the kids to that.
Yeah. I'm not a musical person. No. Only musical I can stand was Grease. I don't like the live things that they do. I'm not into that.
I like it. Oh, see, I liked Grease live. Like I like. I don't know. I like it when it's entertaining and the music is good. And I sometimes find the music to be so disjointed on Broadway. Like, where like, I'm like, where's the melody? Like, it's just, like,
I laugh at it because I really would like in my own life to just sing all my lines. Like,
totally.
I think there's a Family Guy episode that does that.
Don't you remember Cop Rock?
No, what's Cop Rock?
Okay. Guys, Cop Rock.
What is that?
I don't know what you just said, but Cop Rock.
You are arrested.
Yes, it was like a show in the 80s or maybe early 90s. No, somewhere in there. And Emma's going to look it up. And Emma's our new assistant, guys.
Like,
so make sure on Facebook and Twitter and stuff you say, "Hey, Emma." So yeah, it was a show, like a police show, and oh my gosh, see Kim, Cop Rock.
Okay,
pull up.
I got nothing.
But pull up a little clip if you can, and we can. Kim can use her mic to listen to it. So,
1990.
Oh, 1990.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
See, look at me.
Yeah.
Cop Rock. Yeah, it didn't do so well.
Yeah.
Or very long. So
we don't need to bring that back.
Yeah. So anyway, back to the Tonys.
Would you like the TV intro?
No, that's all right. I think we've moved on from Cop Rock. Sadly, Kim lost her interest in Cop Rock. But so anyway, so the Tony Awards were very much welcome this week.
Yeah.
Orlando clearly is having a, I don't want to say tough week because it sounds very flip, but it's just a devastating week.
Well, they are. They're having a tough week. There's been, between obviously the 49 people that were massacred inside the Pulse Dance Club and all the people.
49 and not counting him, because everybody keeps saying 50, and I just don't think he should be counted.
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking of that.
Okay.
But yeah, 49. Well, I just wasn't. I was thinking of the victims and all the survivors, and the stories are starting to come out of the people that survived that night, and the survivor's guilt, and that happens when they're grateful they're alive and feeling bad that they're alive.
Why me?
Yeah. So, but it's been a hard week. It's been, and it hasn't stopped because now the politics are taking, that opportunity and to further a platform or further their hate or further their divisiveness between all the parties. That's been rough to watch some of the presidential candidates. And I mean, it's just, but again, I started the show talking about the filibuster. So there is something to be said, for the fact that maybe there's movement, but I just, my heart is breaking for those families.
Absolutely. And the thing is, like, this should be an opportunity where we are coming together, and it's not. It's yet another. It's like we keep I don't want to say that that a horribly tragic shooting is an opportunity. Don't get me wrong. However, when things like that happen, we have the chance to come together and support each other. And for some reason, over and over and over again, this country would rather argue with each other and get on opposite sides and battle each other out instead of, come together. And it's
they even are arguing with how they extend their condolences to the families and to the victims. I mean, there's even all those conversations about, you didn't say this word, you didn't do it this way, you didn't act quick enough. I'm like, ugh.
And those who say pray, prayers for Orlando, it's like, that's not enough. Like, maybe that's what that person can do. Like, that's what that person has in their wheelhouse. You know what I mean? Like, why are we so quick to judge and what each other is doing? And, I did read this one thing though, that yes, this horrible killer pledged his allegiance to ISIS, and I don't understand when it's ISIS and when it's ISIL and all that whole thing. It's like, yeah,
porcupie and porcupine. I don't know.
I don't know.
Octopi.
Octopi. But he was born here and he was raised here, and I understand his connection to terrorism. However, look at what we're doing here toward gay people. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're standing up at parades and fighting against the gay marriage, and we're like, we're transgender in the bathroom is like the worst thing that could possibly happen to a human being. It's like our own country in our citizens are already saying that gay people are less than, or gay people don't have the same rights. So, yes, I think it's really, really comfortable for people to go, hey, let's just blame terrorism, because then we don't have to look within ourselves.
Right. However, when the shooter pledges his allegiance to a radicalized movement and has ties to terrorists and has been on the FBI watch list, it's hard to know whether it was just a gay thing or if it was just a mental health issue or if it was a terrorist thing. I mean, I think that's partly why people are arguing, because we all jump to conclusions. We have no idea what the truth is. We have no idea what the history is. And because we are having a crisis in our country for a decade now of people shooting each other up because you eat meat or you like a different football team or you have a different hair color than you want your neighbor to have. I mean, we kill each other for all sorts of reasons. But when someone vocally pledges their allegiance to a murderous group, it's hard to think that it's something other than that. But who the heck knows? I mean,
right. I'm not saying that ignore the fact that he was on the list and all this, what the heck is happening and why does he have all these guns and all that. But I'm just saying that as citizens of this country, and we could work a little bit better together to really identify terrorism versus already the violence and the discrimination against each other, whether it's like sexuality or race or
right. But I think that we, the me part of the we, a lot of us do. But when you have people in high positions and governments that can't even figure it out, and those are your elected officials that are creating policy and creating leadership in your state or whatever. I mean, it starts sometimes at the top. I mean, you'd think it would go from the bottom up in this country where we elect people to represent our feelings.
Right.
But I don't know. I mean, it's a scary place to live.
Right. So, well,
Yeah.
moving
from a really somber, horrible, let's bring in Craig.
well, that's the thing is, we can, you and I can only talk serious stuff for so long. So,
all right. Wait, good intro for Craig Shoemaker. Yeah. Craig.
He is a writer on Fuller House. He's a comedian. He's Mr. Datitude. He's the Lovemaster.
He's an ordained minister.
What? Where do you have time for all this? Welcome, Craig Shoemaker.
I don't, but I made time for this.
Yes, you did.
Of course, you have to make time for.
You've been begging to get on our show, Craig, for years now. Glad we could.
And all I get to see is your hand.
I know.
Yeah, hold on, I'm going to move it.
I know.
Move your body.
Go.
There she is.
I'm in here. Hi.
So sorry, Craig. I'm running the board, so you're going to have to, be
stick with
stuck
her
with
face.
my mug for a while. So okay. So Kim's telling me a lot about you before we get on the air, and. What don't you do? Why don't we just do that? Because that'd be actually fit in the show of everything you don't do. Because I don't think we could fit everything you do in the show.
He's not running for office.
You're not?
Oh, I have an announcement.
Oh, right here. You've heard it first.
Wow. Can you imagine? I would actually vote. I don't know all that much about you, and I'd still vote for you.
I've been tempted to run for some sort of office because I definitely believe we need some major transformation going on to happen in our world.
Yeah. So Craig, I had forgotten that you have a PhD in humanities, and so we were thinking, what the hell is a PhD in humanities? So can you tell me a little bit about what that is and how you
become president?
Yeah, but how you use that, because I know you have this whole laughter heals concept.
There you go. I'm wearing the shirt right now. I did it intentionally here.
Okay,
excellent.
Okay, so tell us about that.
Well, what happened was I was inspired. Well, actually, several ways, but I was I've been performing for years, but kind of like for reasons that are selfish. I wanted attention, love from the mother, all that traditional stuff you pay a therapist to find out. So all these indications kept coming in of maybe this is about something else. I had several people come up to me after shows and say, we couldn't have a child until we saw your show. And then my husband went home and tried to be the Lovemaster, and we laughed. And now we have a child.
Oh, sweet.
Wait, so that's what it takes is laughter?
That's right. There are babies all over the country that are basically where I was the midwife.
Oh, sweet. My son thinks it just takes Viagra.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what he's learned from our television.
That's funny.
Yeah, moving on. Yeah.
I went to the pharmacist to investigate Viagra. I said to him, "Hey, can I get it over the counter?" He goes, "Yeah, I guess you could take 2 or 3, or you get over the shelves."
Very nice.
But I kept hearing from people about what laughter meant to them or the shows meant to them. And one night I was in Brea and these people were laughing, not along with the crowd. I said, "What's going on over there?" I said, "Well, we're here celebrating. Our daughter's 18 and she has leukemia and now she's in remission and she listened to your CD every day in the hospital."
Aww.
So I just kept hearing these things. And then one of my best friends, Michael Goldberg, he wrote Cool Runnings, Little Giants. We would bond through laughter. And for all those years, he's a Philly guy like me. And he was directing the Lovemaster movie and his wife was ovulating. And we were in a condo, and she says, "I'm ovulating." I said, "Do the Lovemaster." So I left and got sandwiches. He came back. He was no Lovemaster because they were finished by one cheesesteak. But anyway, baby Kayla was born 9 months later. And it's just amazing. But a year and a half after that, he was diagnosed with brain cancer.
Oh.
And that's really what did it for me. That was the one that pushed me over the edge of it's not about meeting a waitress at a comedy club anymore. It's really about love and service and laughter. And we formed Laughter Heals, and they gave him 3 months to live, and he lived 15 years past that diagnosis.
Wow.
And he showed up for all of our laughter programs, comedy shows, and it gives you a reason to live and a will to live, that and his daughter and some other and family and friends, and And so that's what we did. We have Laughter Heals going, and I've studied it, and I know everything there is to know about laughter, and it is absolutely something. I would run on the laughter ticket if I did go to politics.
Yeah, I think that's what Trump is trying to do.
Good one. Kim.
I did. I made it funny.
Kim's looking at me like, it was funny, right? It was funny.
You can hopefully that made your day. Yeah, it's really. But what I believe that what we're watching is a bottom for certain people. We're watching, and I think that we always need to go there. Every addict, every alcoholic, every gambler, they always need a bottom, and I think that's what we're seeing is a reflection of that in modern politics, period. And he is the giant funhouse mirror to just really reflect back on how far down the path some have gone.
Yeah.
And it's really unfortunate, but it's necessary. This is going to sound strange. I was hoping he would get the nomination.
Really?
Why?
Yeah, because it was a way, because the other ones do it in a very sly way. They fool the people in a very sly way. And he's going to be exposed for who he is. And this whole cartoon show of that party, and listen, I'm not a party guy. I'm not all in on Democrats. It's just not. We shouldn't be. We should challenge everyone.
Right.
But that party has really taken some bad strides. I used to vote Republican, but my consciousness now tells me that they're going so far down the road of just not caring about human life, and it's not the way to go. I mean, think about how pissed off Lincoln would be if he was alive today.
Right.
And this is not my party.
Right.
So anyway, not to be political about it, but I do believe that laughter needs to go at the top of the list for people instead of, watching the news, the 24/7 scare channel to keep you in that condition. And that's what they do is they weaken you, and then they have your solution build into his bad speeches and Viagra commercials.
So, and we can move on from Trump, but last night I was watching on Twitter that Rick Wilson, I don't know who that guy is. He's a media GOP guy, but he called him the Cheeto Jesus. Cheeto Jesus. It was hilarious. The whole tweet, but it was an insult because he's orange. Oh, it's Trump. What do you think you are, a Cheeto Jesus? I thought that was funny.
Well,
anyway,
and that's going to be exposed too. I mean, he's even going for the Christian right. I mean, it's just such fraud and so phony. I mean, anyone who's mindful, which I do believe that's where we need to head in this country, is going to know that he's a fraud. He's not he says, I know more about the Bible than anyone.
Oh my gosh.
Wouldn't you just love to have that dude? He couldn't win on Are You More Bible Thumper than a fifth grader. I mean, it's just so funny that he can actually have people believe things that he just says, but there's nothing to back it up. And that will be exposed. I really believe that.
But it has been exposed, and yet there are still millions of people who aren't and that's the only thing crazier to me than Trump are the people who are behind him. Yeah. Because you look at them like, do you really know what's happening?
Right.
Like I really want to look in their eyes and be like, are you okay?
Right.
What's the deal here?
So Craig, do politics inspire you for your humor, or do you get your inspiration from being dad? I mean, you have 4 kids, so that's got to be a lot of inspiration as it's but where do you get your inspiration from?
I've never even said a political word on stage. I just don't. I don't believe in politics anyway, and it's all bought and paid for. And so it's just it's not my thing. Hopefully you don't have many listeners because then they're going to think this guy's a political comic and never come see me.
No, you are definitely you're dirty. You're dirty sometimes.
Yeah, we're on radio
yeah.
though, so we can't be that dirty. But yeah, I've seen some of your stuff.
Well, now that's funny you should mention that. One of my big cause celeb is I am really against that notion of what is dirty. It's what they deem as dirty.
Yeah.
In the meantime, I'll go on a local news show and they'll go, well, remember, we're a family show. I'm like, well, how do you think you got here?
Right.
The sex that got you here. And then you'll cut to a commercial for, a drug that's killing people or a corporation that's poisoning our foods. And then they'll cut to rape, molestation, chaos, mayhem, beheadings. And that's okay.
Right.
that's all right to cover all of that carnage for your children to see that, and yet I'm dirty for dropping an F-bomb. So the First Amendment, about free speech, we don't really care about that. With the FCC, they're monitoring and making rules.
We lost your mic there, Craig, for a sec. Oh,
there you are.
There we go.
Okay.
I mean,
he talks with his hands. It's throwing him off.
People debate about the Second Amendment rights, and we're all up in arms, no pun intended, about that. But nobody says anything about what the FCC and how they censor us and tell us what dirty is. How about you can have an R-rated movie on violence, but see real violence at 6:00 on the news?
Right.
Does that make any sense whatsoever?
Right. You're totally right.
Yeah.
You're totally right.
No, I actually
Not dirty. I'm bringing it clean, baby.
Yeah, I'm sort of being funny. You performed at our comedy event last year, and you took your character is. One of your characters, I'm assuming, is the Lovemaster, and I can't do it as well as you do. But you had our audience in stitches because it is honest, it was hilarious, a little dirty, a little racy, which I personally love. But for the most part, it was just straight up clean, funny, witty, smart humor. But you're right. The second that you say, the slang word for penis, people are like, oh my God. I'm like, really? That's what offends you? But you're brilliant, Craig. I mean, there's no.
Thank you.
You've managed to turn that into something that has been successful for you, and I like that people blush a little bit when you're on stage.
Kim's like more, the more politically incorrect, the better.
Oh yeah,
I love that.
Yeah,
my business manager just walked in. Hold on, say hi, Liz. We're live on the air.
Hi, Liz.
She wasn't expecting that. She's just expecting to tell me how much money I don't have.
Oh, she can tell me too.
Right.
So tell us about Datitude. So you have your DVD, right?
Yeah. Well, I grew up with no dad, and he left when I was born. Something like that. Wham, he was gone. So
Oh, you're having mic issues again there.
Oh, really?
There you are.
There you go.
Oh,
yeah.
I know what it is. I'm putting my hand over it.
You're censoring yourself. Yeah.
After Tim said dirty, I was
I know,
like, you better
dirty.
watch what you say. Dirty boy. So, I've got some datitude. I grew up in Philadelphia with no dad, and I'm living in Los Angeles with these overzealous fathers and mothers, and it's just sort of like, and yet I'm very compassionate and understanding for children. But, it's a lot of the act is about how we're going a little too far. Mm-hmm. And, it's, everybody's got a disorder now. The restless leg syndrome bothers me. They're getting out of school for a restless leg. I'm like, where was this when I was growing up trying to get out of a test I didn't study for?
Right.
I mean, I could fake this easy. Hey, I got a restless leg. I forgot my pills.
So where do you think we went so wrong? Do you think it's a part of the country? Do you think it's a part of our times? Like where how do we go from like playing outside in a cardboard box to, needing medication and electronics and not to be bored all the time?
Yeah, by the way, you know what worries me? It's called attention deficit. It's like, what kid pays attention?
Right.
It's not even natural. Can you imagine a kid come up to you? I hear every single word say, I'm focused. I'm looking you right in the eye. I have an attention surplus. I'm going to rewire our home. No, it was just called hyperactive. I was so hyper. I used to sleepwalk and wet my sister's bed.
That's funny. My brother used to come in our room and fart under the blanket, and then run away. Like he'd trap me under there and then run away. He didn't pee on me. He just farted on me. Yeah,
it's part of life. It's called the Dutch oven.
Yes. Yes. The Dutch oven. That's exactly right.
Wow.
These are all part of learning experiences, and we're not raising veal here. We all have to adjust, obviously. I just think we've overdone it, probably because the generation before us were raised by a lot of them were narcissists, major narcissists. And you're seeing a reflection of that. Who's running for president? You can't get any more narcissistic disorder than that.
Right. And
again, we're seeing the bottom on this, I hope. And so I think that this generation, us being parents, we kind of overcompensate because we never want them. My whole goal is that they don't go to therapy and talk about me.
I have the therapy fund already started.
That's a pretty lofty goal, Craig.
But my kids are going to be in there going, oh, my God, my father with the I love yous.
So you started
all this affection and understanding.
Oh, geez. And then when I was a baby, he would bite my cheek. Oh, look at this. I have a hole. He kept biting my cheek. He said, come here, bring me those little cheeks. If I heard that one more time, and that'll be my kids.
Yeah.
But you started to say before that you weren't raised with a dad. Do you think that your parenting style I guess you don't know because you didn't have a dad, but what do you think you've done differently as a dad to your 4 kids that you didn't have growing up without a dad?
Yeah, but it's almost easy to raise them. And I'll tell you why. I give them everything I long for.
Yeah.
Which is a lot, but it's when in doubt, I just take a pause and say, what would my father do? And then I do the opposite.
Well, it sounds like showing up, you're already ahead of the game. I mean, I don't mean that flippantly.
Yeah, I've thought to myself many times, one day with them would be my lifetime with my dad.
Yeah.
Wow.
One present day. And so I don't need to do all the extras, because the biggest thing I longed for was just someone to support and encourage, someone for safety. And both my mom and dad are both, suffer from the narcissism. And so I had zero. So I was just actually telling a story to my son this morning. I tell them stories all the time, and I just love it. They cuddle up with me and tell them stories. And
how old are your kids?
I have 17, 11, 6, and 2.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Your daughter's 2, right? She's the youngest?
Yeah, she's the youngest and the most crazy, by the way. No offense. 3 sons. 3 sons, and the daughter is whacked. You'll hear her any second now, I'm sure.
So your kid.
Hold on 1 second, Liz. By the way, they're upstairs. I think they're hiding because I told them to be quiet because I'm on a show.
So they're in the closet. Shh. Yeah,
that's what happens when my kids are in the studio.
Yeah, let's see your kids.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
This is a little test. I want to go up and see what my wife is doing to shut them down.
Oh, nice.
I said, listen, I'm on an important show.
Yeah.
It's Broadscast. Yeah. My God, it's the biggest show ever.
This is going at the top of my resume.
We originally thought we were going to Burbank to see Fuller House, but instead we've come to the Shoemaker's Fuller House.
Shoemaker Fuller House. Here we go.
Gosh.
I wish we had video for this. It's all, yeah.
See, you know what my wife did?
She locked it.
No. If you guys want to guess, I'm going to turn this around and show you.
Oh, TV. It's a movie.
It's a movie.
Yeah, it's a screen time. Ready?
Yes, of course it is.
There they are.
Yeah, smart lady.
Guys.
Oh my God, how cute are your kids? How cute are your kids?
Honey, I said, let's see what she's doing. They're awful quiet.
What else is there? That's why, we had to get smacked in the 70s and 80s and stuff because we didn't have screen time. And so we didn't know how to be quiet.
Oh my God. Your child
Muffin.
is Hi, sweetheart.
They said to smack you.
Oh.
Look at
we have to pause for programming. Yeah.
This one this is his heroine right there.
Oh, nice. The TV screen. Yeah. Craig, do your kids share your sense of humor, or are they just like in shock of you all the time?
Well, actually, the older 2 do. This one here, he loves bedtime stories, but he looks at me because he thinks there's a punchline coming, but he's too smart.
Oh,
he's actually old school, old soul. So I'll finish the story and I'm like waiting for a laugh like all the rest of the kids because they tell all these silly stories about when I was growing up, and he pauses and he'll go, "Tell me another story."
So just really quickly for our radio listeners, Craig is taking us on a tour of his house, and you're panicking because you're walking up and down stairs holding a computer. And I'm like, oh my God, we're going to watch Craig tumble all the way down the stairs as he's telling this great story about his kids.
We should be recording this video right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can see him. Sorry, you guys can't, but it is quite hilarious.
Yeah.
But they're beautiful, beautiful children. And so, comedy, I think comedy just brings families together. I really do.
Well, we really do believe in, like I said, the laughter heals concept. Oh, I was telling you about my friend Michael Goldberg. So he got brain cancer and lived 15 years because he became all the laughter programs. And I visited him on his in hospice a year ago, and he was in a coma and a catatonic state. And I'm like, Golds, I don't know what else is left. You're sitting there with nothing to do. And I said, you want me to toss you off?
There's the Lovemaster for you.
So
that's a good friend.
So I said, I've never done anybody else, but I'm really anyway. And then he was in a coma, and all of a sudden he goes,
oh
no.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Showed me, and he died the following week. And it just, and we did not have a funeral. We had a funneral, and we had a beautiful celebration of his life, and really, really laughed so much. And I made him laugh on his deathbed. And
oh my gosh.
I think that's a wonderful memory for him to take with him to wherever his spirit ended up. And, I really think that we should start this laughter movement.
Yes.
And that's an energy that can take over this negative, dark energy that's pervasive throughout the world right now. Is really it's something that needs to be done. We need to say that it's not dirty to say a joke or it's foul. That's what they tell you to say, or they tell you to think. That's what they want, because then you get controlled and commanded, and you do what they want, and then you fall in line and you become a lemming. And I think that laughter is a way to cut through that.
So we were talking at the top of the show before we brought you on about Orlando and how the Tony Awards went ahead and had their show. And do you think there's a time that it's too soon to bring humor to things that are that traumatic on a national stage? I mean, I know that a lot of comics get accused of rushing and making light of something that is really traumatic.
And that's part of the commands, is they tell you, they command your soul what to think and feel when maybe you do have an inkling to release. Laughter is another release. Okay, so crying is acceptable, but laughing, which is crying, is not acceptable. I mean, to me, there is no time. I mean, there's no definitive space where you can say you can't discuss these things. It's the same thing with all the issues. They tell you, well, don't use this as an excuse to talk about gun control. Well, when between shootings are you supposed to discuss it?
Right.
You have to wait a week before, no one does no one has a mass shooting. I mean, it's just so silly, these rules that we live by, but they're not really rules from anyone with integrity.
Right.
So to me, laugh at any time. I will tell you that after 9/11, that was the toughest for me. That was because it was the energy pervasive throughout the room, of which I will never forget that show. I remember that show as much as I remember 9/11 as the first one that I did afterwards, because we shut it down. We all did. We went into all the stages of grief were happening. Yeah. But laughter is very important to shift through, to shift your consciousness. And because if you're only concentrating on something negative and dark, what's going to be the result of that is more negative and dark.
Right.
So we have to bring in the light, and that's what laughter does, is it really allows that space to happen.
Wow. Well, so speaking of laughter, tell us a little bit about your gig on Fuller House.
Oh, and you're with my future husband, John Stamos. Yeah, let him know I'll be wearing my dress.
She's like your pet project as far as getting her hooked up. So John seems like a nice guy.
Yeah, get in line behind me. I think he's a hunk.
Seriously, I think even my husband would be like, "Yeah, I'll do him."
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That is one good-looking guy. He is one of those guys that you're in a room with him, just going, "Whoo, wow."
he's so charming, and he's got that it factor.
Yeah, Blackie from General Hospital. So how did you get that gig on Fuller House?
Well, I've been friends with the creator. This is going to sound. Did I put my hand over the mic again?
Nope, you're good.
You're here.
It's going to sound strange, but it's such a full circle thing. Bob Saget was when I was a kid in Philadelphia, my mom went to the grocery store. He was our deli guy. He sliced our meats.
No.
Yeah. And then the first time I was ever on stage in Philadelphia, Bob Saget was headlining.
Oh.
And by the way, talk about dirty.
Yeah, I know, right?
Even I'll call him dirty.
Danny Tanner, whoa.
Danny Tanner's got quite another side to him.
Yes.
He's Danny Danger. So, and then I went to the same college, went to Temple after him. He was a legend there already, won an Academy Award. People don't realize that, for a serious movie that he
did?
Yeah, he won a Student Academy Award back when we were in college, and he was already out of school. And then I came out and I auditioned for my very first audition in L.A. was for Full House.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
So you've basically been stalking Bob Saget. So that's what you're telling us.
Well, then I became friends with Jeff Franklin, the creator, and we've been friends for like 28 years. And, you know, he comes to a lot of shows. He really loves the stand-up. As a matter of fact, he brought the whole crew to see me at Flappers Burbank, where I'll be this Sunday, by the way.
Right, on Father's Day. Yep.
Yes, for Father's Day, 7 o'clock. But he brought everyone, and, you know, he wanted to share me with people. He had me do warm-up recently. I do all the guest star roles and the table read when they're not there. So it's been quite an experience. But being in a room with people every day is like jury duty.
Speaking
of jury duty, so I have a very funny story that Craig reminded me of when we first officially met.
Right.
So speaking of stalking, so Craig, during the time when my brother died and we were in court, Craig apparently showed up to court and was in the galley, right? And I didn't know this, and you were sitting next to me, and you shared the story that you were basically eavesdropping on a conversation I was having and writing with my stepmom, and he was reading my notes.
I did.
Isn't that funny?
Wait, so you were in the courthouse?
Yeah, I got in for being like a celebrity or whatever. They let me in, and I sat there.
Yeah, welcome to Los Angeles.
I know. It's like, I couldn't believe that I was there.
Nowhere else would they ever be like, "Oh, you're a celebrity. Come in the courthouse."
Yeah.
Well, no, somebody recognized me. They said, "Come on in," and whatever. And I was like, "Okay." And I sat with the Goldmans, and it's so boring because. But
wait, not sitting with us is not boring. The trial was boring.
It's about to get to the compliment part. It's so boring because Ito stares you down if you talked. I mean, he gave the scowl of all scowls, and I'm a big mouth comedian. You know, I want to have a line about everything. So I decided to read the notes that you guys were passing.
Oh my gosh!
Each other, and I will never forget. One of the lines was a comedy line, and that's why I remembered it.
Yeah, because I was funny.
Oh, you were writing comedy lines?
Well, I didn't know.
I will tell you what it was. It was the first day of the defense testimony. And they had no defense at the time because there was no Mark Furman. There was no stupid glove routine. There was all this had not happened. So their first day of defense, they lined up horrible witnesses. One woman, she wore 5 wristwatches.
Right.
and she was in the real estate business in Brentwood, right? So they kept asking her, "Why do you have these wristwatches?" "Well, I am very accurate with time, and that's why I have 5 wristwatches to tell me what time it is." And Marcia Clark says, "What time did you get here today?" She goes, "Between 11 and 11:30. They said, "How long were you with the defense team?" She goes, "It was an hour, 3 hours." So then they said, "Well, apparently you're not good with your watches," and objection, sustained and all this. So anyway, so then Kim writes a note about this woman, and it said, it was a headline. It says, "Headline: Brentwood real estate plummets as loonies testify."
I'm funny.
I know, and that's when I was so amused by you, and I kept reading your notes back and forth. I guess you had nothing else to do.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to talk.
Right.
But it's amazing though, because it one of the darkest, if not the darkest time in your life.
Right.
Yeah. You
go to the funny. You gotta.
It's coping. It's a coping
totally
mechanism,
coping.
and I think that's that speaks to what Craig was saying earlier about laughter heals. I mean, I don't know that I realized. I mean, I remember laughing for the first time. I remember turning on the radio and enjoying a moment and feeling like, oh, I'm not supposed to be feeling this way because I'm feeling sad too. But it really was an coping, and I'm learning how to be sarcastic. But I sometimes it's hard to express the sarcasm or a wittiness when you're feeling like a sadness too, because it's polar opposite emotions, but they actually work together.
They do. I'm glad you got that. So here, I'm glad you brought that up, by the way, because it's really the definition of laughter heals. Is again, there's all these supposed tos that you're supposed to be mourning and grieving all the time.
Right.
I mean, it was just so they can have camera shots of you and your dad constantly crying and mourning. Well, no. I mean, you have you're a gamut of emotions, and obviously that's how you responded to this loony who was testifying. You had to find some break from that horrible, horrible situation that you were in before a national, worldwide media, and so you have to find some respite from that. And that's what everyone needs in our mourning process. We all need to laugh. Have you ever been to a funeral and you laugh your ass off? I remember I went to my, there's a custom in certain religions where it's an open casket.
Okay.
Yes, I grew up Catholic, so I'm very aware.
And they line, and Irish people, they line up like it's the diving board at the country club. My mom's Irish. I'm part of a lot of things, but my mom's Irish, so she dives for the obituaries like I go for the sports section. Like they live for it. And and then they'll close the casket, not because of any honoring the dead, but that's so they can have another place to rest their beer for the for the party afterwards.
That's so funny because I think you and I probably grew up similarly then.
Well, in that half, my mom also, she married Jews, so we would have Seders and Easter at the same week. So talk about confusing. Is the empty chair for Elijah or Uncle Ray today? It was very, very confusing. But the Irish part, I will never forget. I went to one of these funerals, and I went to the casket and lost it laughing. Oh. And I'm
the viewing? In the open casket?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, and the guy next to me, do you ever have someone next to you, you're trying not to laugh at them laughing?
Yes.
And laughter is literally contagious. So my cousin is next to me and I see spittle forming on his lip, trying to hold this in, and then boom, hocks a loogie on our grandma.
No.
Oh, I'm not kidding you. He was trying to hold it in. He's shaking. And I'm going, stop it. And my go-to on not laughing is usually dead people. Well, this was a dead person. I was laughing more. So I had nothing to visualize on trying to get me out of my laughter. And he puts a loogie, and now we're going, how do you clean that up?
Right.
Laughing worse. And they literally removed us from the funeral.
Craig Shoemaker ejected from his own grandmother's funeral.
It's funny because I can't believe I'm saying I have a similar story, but like when my grandmother died, I was 12, and my cousin Danny is probably 10 years older than I am. And my grandmother had this, like, I think she smoked for years, not when I knew her, but she had a really deep voice and a Boston accent. So she'd be like, "Hi, dear, how you doing?" And so my cousin, she's in the coffin, and my cousin Danny is doing an impression of my grandmother in the coffin. Like, I mean, so of course I'm just cracking up, but I was so at that time, like, I was just so sad to lose her, but like, I just will always remember that Danny, and in my feelings and my, like in my physical being, I feel like, remember when Danny was there for me? You know what I mean? And it wasn't like, oh, when he was inappropriate or whatever. It was like, he took a moment that was so hard and made it sweet, and makes me, I don't know. It's just.
And by the way, you have much more of a memory of that time you laughed that you're sharing now than you would sharing, oh, I cried in front of her coffin. What a wonderful memory that he made for you.
Right.
So,
right.
I mean, that's what comedy does is I'm hoping that's what I do when I do stand up. Burbank, 7 o'clock.
Burbank, Flappers,
yes.
7 o'clock.
You have a whole lineup on your website,
I lived in Burbank when there was
CraigShoemaker.com.
no Flappers.
Yeah.
Way back when.
By the way, you two better be there. Okay.
It's on Father's Day, so I have to ditch my kid because being a single mom, we do celebrate Father's Day in my house. So we have plans earlier in the day, but I told your assistant that I think I can make it. So
wait, but can we talk about this, Craig? Because we've got a few more minutes, and so we're going to just make you stay with us. Kim has this thing, right? So she's raised by a single dad, and she, on Mother's Day, acknowledges her dad. And then on Father's Day, she kind of celebrates because she's been playing both roles for many, many years.
And Jackie hates it.
Issue.
She doesn't let me have it at all. Yeah,
I do, because you know what? I see how hard she works, and everything that she does, absolutely everything for her child. So I'm like, you know what? If that's what you need, do your thing. But do you think like the opposite parent should get the credit if they're the single parent on that other day? Did that make any sense? That was the most backhanded question I've ever asked.
I understand. I mean, the reason I'm just pausing is I don't think I've heard of it before.
No, so because you were a single dad for a while, right?
Yeah, but I wouldn't call myself that. I mean, to me, it's this. I mean, this is the way I was brought up. It's a single parent if the other parent isn't involved. Like I have 2 children with my ex-wife, and it's 50%, each. And there isn't, so she's not a single mom. She's not a single mom necessarily because I pay support. My father, I thought his name was doesn't pay the child support. I thought that was his name. Like,
I have one of those.
He changed the last name of Shoemaker to doesn't pay the child support.
The middle name, the check bounced.
Yeah,
that's all I ever knew about the guy. And by the way, I just met one of his offspring 2 weeks ago in Chicago. My half sister.
Oh,
for the first time.
Oh my gosh!
You knew of her existence, though, right?
I knew of her existence. He was a cult leader, and
seriously.
Yeah, and this was one of the women that was into him.
Oh my God!
Way to bury the lead, Craig. Seriously, what are we talking about Fuller House for? Wait, so I swear, I think that your father actually went above and beyond to give you material.
Oh,
I don't think he was absent. I think he was providing material.
However, he gave the material for the emotionality, but he did not give the specific material because I never talk about him on stage and no one will believe it. Everyone's going to believe he calls himself the king of the Poconos, and he says you can be part of my empire when you get over that comedy crap and run mule rides.
Oh, no. Sweet. Is this true?
He runs. That's what I'm saying. I don't want an audience the entire comedy show. Can you imagine? I'm trying to go hit punchlines and they're going, "Is that true? Is that true? Wait a minute, that can't be true. Oh, it is. I'm just. I can't talk about it on stage because, first of all, it's a wellspring of material because of all the and other people consider what I laugh at. They consider it abuse, like it was child abuse what the guy did with me. But I will never call it that. I will just describe it and have fun describing it and laugh about it. And other people go, "Oh, that's terrible." But it is what formed me. And it informs how I am as a father and a husband. You know, I say, "Whew, man, why would I ever want anybody to suffer that fate?" So now I have 4 children that, hopefully they won't be, they won't have that. But then again, though, I also followed in his footsteps. I was very entrepreneurial.
Right.
Which is a French word for schemer.
Yeah. It's hilarious. You had me at the Poconos because I always thought of that place as like the honeymoon spot for those who couldn't afford a real honeymoon or like those who had a shotgun wedding.
Yeah,
and does he have a heart-shaped bed and everything?
It's the blue-collar honeymoon capital of the Northeast.
Right.
And they have, Kim, I am telling you, they have heart-shaped pools in the room.
Oh.
In the room, a pool in the room. It's in the shape of a heart. And a 10-foot-high champagne glass jacuzzi that greets you when you walk in, and the roof.
So book it for me and John, right? That's where Stamos and I are going with our Greek yogurt empire. Yeah.
Oh, you could be the next big fat Greek wedding, right?
You call me fat,
and you two could ride off on a mule. One of my father's adventures on mules. Ride off.
Do you have a discount code for that?
I don't know if he's on.
Is there a group? I was going to say.
I don't know. I haven't talked to him in a few years. In the mule business, and he calls it his harem. Now imagine this. So he had such a reputation that they're giving me a tour. I was playing Caesars in the Poconos. They were planning on gambling. So Caesars bought up all these properties, and they had the Caesars, but they didn't have gambling. But they had these honeymoon resorts, and the guy's giving me a tour like the big star from California. And I'll never forget this. It's such a visual. He goes, "Over here you got racquetball if you want to play racquetball, and over here we got quoits. Do you know what quoits are?" He's got this Pennsylvania accent. He looks up, he goes, "Oh my gosh, there's A.J. Shoemaker and his harem. What's that nut doing here?" And I got to say these words. "That's my dad." And then I hadn't seen him in years. He walks up and he steals my complimentary cheese tray. He goes, "Oh, the girls at the ranch will love this. Judy loves Gouda." He takes my cheese tray.
Wow.
Puts it in one of his sloppy cars that he always had. One time he gave me an ambulance. He traded for my nice car. I had to drive a 65 Cadillac ambulance, Blakely Borough, an orange ambulance, a Cadillac hearse like a Ghostbusters. And he gave me that in a trade for my nice car. And I had to stop every 100 miles for oil to fill it with oil. And that he's just always been this way. He converted cesspools to sewers. I caught a shark one time. He bought landing crafts, those things for Saving Private Ryan, and he said those will be shark boats. I mean,
oh my God.
Fuller brushes. The guy. Bras. That was my favorite.
What?
He bought you a bra?
No, he said he had a new pyramid. Amway meets bras, like multi-level marketing.
Was it the bro?
This was not for me. No. He told my mother, he says, Barbara, if you want your child support check, invite your big-breasted friends over. I'm having a bra party. He goes, leave the flat ones home.
Oh, my God.
So my mother, I hadn't seen him in years. I'm 7 years old. I look in the living room, and there's my, quotes, Aunt Barbara, Aunt Fran, Aunt Dottie, all in bras with my father in the middle of them smoking a pipe.
Oh, my God.
He's there. Come on, Dottie, don't be shy. It's just you women and me. Show how it lifts and separates.
Oh, wow.
My God.
This is our 3-class model.
How could you not be a comedian?
Well, that's the thing is that you would think I would talk about these things in my act, but it's just right out of fiction. I'm writing a book about it. Good.
That has to happen.
It's called A Stand-Up Guy. I wrote a one-person show. I'm actually doing it soon. It's called A Stand-Up Guy. It's trying to be a stand-up guy. And then ironically, I became a stand-up.
Right.
But throughout all of that, to have integrity and character was so missing in my life. And I had to go find it and go on this search for finding it and being a good father and being a good present man and good husband and good friend and good family member. These are all things that I had to keep searching and searching and searching for because instinctually in my deepest self, they were there. But like Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz, I had to go discover this for myself. Where home is in my own heart and not empowering someone else to dictate where that is. And that's what I did. I tried to be a man of what a man was, what I was told a man was. Go shoot people, that's a man, or go beat people up, that's a man, or go dominate people, that's a man, or go be a great athlete, that's a man. And we all saw, from that Simpson trial, here are people that idolized what they deemed to be a true man, and nobody could be worse of one.
Right.
And more of a coward than him. But we all idolized him, growing up. So many people did and had such adulation for these false heroes. And that's what they are. But the real hero is within ourselves. It's there, but we have to access it. And that's what my father did, was he was able to hand me a key without handing it to me directly, is the access is to just connect into, what really, really sends me from a higher source and not that, just doing it that way. So, and by the way, the one person show starts off with, my first dad was television, Andy Griffith Show.
Oh.
So I would come home, watch UHF, and I had nobody in the house but, me and my sister and whatever. And that became my father, and my uncle was Don Knotts, Barney Fife.
Oh,
and that's who taught me. And so I became, if you see my act, I can become Don Knotts. Like I do. He actually said to me one time, he was older, and he turns to me and he says in his old voice, he goes, "You do me better than me." Yeah. You do quite an impression of me, don't you?
Oh my God, that was incredible.
That's fantastic. Now I need to have you say you're listening to Broadscast because we got to go.
Oh, you're listening as Don Knotts.
Yes, yeah, or anyone you want.
You're listening to Broadscast. How about it? Boy, these are a couple hot broads. You want to check them out every day.
Oh my God,
we love you, Craig Shoemaker. Will you please come back again?
Of course I will. Let's do it again, and I will see you Sunday.
Sunday, Flappers in Burbank, 7 p.m.
And where else can they find you other than?
CraigShoemaker.com. It's a brand new website. You can go see where I'm performing all over the country.
Yep.
And And, and then we got the Laughter Heals things. We have another retreat coming up soon, a Laughter Heals retreat. We combine wellness and laughter.
Wow.
Oh, sweet.
Can they find that on your website?
Yeah, so we're building a bridge from the woo-woo people to the ha-ha.
Nice.
Woo-woo to ha-ha. Thank you so much, Craig
Thank
Shoemaker.
you, Craig. Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
Thank you. We love you. Lovemaster.
So he's awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
And we have 10 seconds. So I want to wish your dad a happy Father's Day.
And I know this is a hard day for you. This is the first year without your dad. So I'm thinking of you and happy Father's Day.
Yeah,
to the best it can be.
All the dads out there and all the guys who fill that role. We'll see you next week.